I went to university, I was poor. I mean, I wasn't from a poor background, you understand. My family wasn't poor. My parents had a large, comfortable home. We had 2 cars and everything. But when I was at university, I had very little money to live on. I had a grant, which paid my fees and so forth, and just enough to get by, just the rail ticket to get home and food and so forth. I could not afford to waste any money if I wanted to avoid debt, which I did. And I never got into any debt because I was very frugal, or, as some people would have it, stingy, but I would say frugal. Anyway, there were others around me who were less frugal, who were quite well supplied with money by their parents. They had cars even, and mobile telephones and expensive clothes, and bought new clothes, even though they already had clothes. And they would go drinking beer every night in pubs and so forth. I certainly couldn't afford to do that. And I felt, not jealousy, I felt that they were missing out. Even then, at the time, I felt they were missing out. And certainly after university, I concluded that, yeah, they missed out. It's actually quite good for us, quite useful to be poor for just 3 years. If you're poor as a student, you're not going to die. You're not going to starve to death. That's not going to happen. But you are going to learn to appreciate money, and you're going to have to make decisions. You're going to have to look after yourself, budget, and you're going to have to think to yourself, right, well, I'd love to do that, but actually if I did that, then I wouldn't be able to do that, and I value that more, so I'm going to choose not to do that. And then, if I do have some fun, what fun can I have that's very, very cheap? And in fact, with a bit of imagination, you find that there's quite a lot of fun that you can have that's very, very cheap. Now, I didn't get into debt, but some of my friends did. Some of them got perhaps £400 in debt. And some of them, it slid to £500, and then they were really worried. Oh, £500. What can they do? Well, they got weekend jobs, and they got evening jobs, and they got jobs in the holidays so that they could pay that money off. And oh, they felt so relieved. Today, however, students all have massive student loans, and it's standard to be £10,000 in debt, in which case you don't worry about being £11,000 in debt, because being £10,000, being so in debt you don't stand any chance of paying it off in the foreseeable future. Another extra £1,000 on top of that is no psychological burden whatsoever. It's just another big number that you can't afford to pay off. And at some point in the future, when you've got this supposedly great job that you're going to get, you'll pay it off then. So you don't have to budget so much. And I noticed that modern students behave differently. When I've been teaching Lindy Hop at a Hall of Residence locally, I go there on a Monday night and I see students going out, taking taxis to go into the centre of Newcastle to go night clubbing on a Monday. In expensive clothes. In taxis! I'm not kidding. Taxis. We didn't take taxis. We walked. It's not that far from where the Hall of Residence that I'm talking about, and some of us had bicycles. Some of the richer ones had bicycles. And I just walked everywhere. And do you know what? I was fine. And as an adult now, I appreciate having, even though I'm still not by no means wealthy, I really appreciate having a bit of money and being able to spend on the occasional luxury. I appreciate wealth so much more. I understand poverty. I understand budgeting and decisions that you have to make. You have to if you're poor, you have to decide what is actually important in life. And at university, if you're poor, you might discover, particularly if you're from a rich background, that there are some things that are actually really valuable having, like friendship and imagination and initiative and energy, or studiousness, or patience, or all these great things that perhaps you can miss out on if you go all the way through university not being poor. Now, I'm not one who would want to legislate. I wouldn't want it to be compulsory for all students to be poor for 3 years. But I think it would be nice if society sort of encouraged people to not give their kids too much money when they're at university, because 3 years of poverty, I think it might actually do us good.
Lindy Mesh!